Hi everyone, Rachel Jensen here, broker, owner of Luna Realty Belize on the beautiful island of Ambergris Key. We are in the inbox right now, which is when we answer questions that have been asked by other folks who are looking at real estate just like you. So we are question 51 today, which means we've answered 50 other questions before this. If you are new to real estate here in Belize or just new to the island or just Belize generally, feel free to tune into those last sessions to get caught up on the questions that were asked. So today we're answering a question from Cameron, and Cameron sent over a load of questions. So you'll see his name pop up over the next few weeks here. Really great questions, of course, that we're going to be answering for you here in this series. So Cameron says, what is your view on purchasing a condo versus a lot and a home build? So this is a great question. First and foremost, it depends entirely on you and what it is that you're looking for. If you're looking for convenience, if you're looking for instant rental income, if you're looking for something that's available right now, then condo or an existing structure, right? Not necessarily a condo, but an existing structure is probably the best way to go about it. If you are somebody who's a little bit pickier, perhaps you have an idea of exactly what you want and you have some time, I would say then owning a lot and then building on top of that could be the right solution for you. Now, I do want to say with the lot and home builds, it takes a lot of patience here in Belize. It's not impossible to build homes. Homes have been built here, many beautiful, beautiful homes and structures and condos and developments, but it is going to take a lot of patience. It also takes you coming down physically to Belize and not just necessarily trusting the person that you have hired as a contractor. In Belize, and this happens all around the world, contractors, if they get a new project, maybe one that's bigger, more money for them, they may leave your property and still back bill you or bill you for the services that they did, but never actually did, right? That's possible. It's also, I've heard, not totally uncommon for contractors to bill you for materials. However, those materials are not used on your property, they're used elsewhere. And also timelines, I think people expect for properties to get done a lot quicker here than it really does get done. There's a limited number of contractors that are trustworthy, I would say, and who are reputable. And so those contractors do tend to get booked and they have a pretty full agenda. And so you may have to wait a little bit of time before they can start your project. And then also, even with those great contractors, I would recommend adding a little bit more time onto however long they tell you that timeline is until your property is complete. We're in Belize, delays happen all the time. And if they're telling you 6 months, I would say between 9 to 12 months for that property to get complete. That's a lot more realistic than maybe the 6-month time frame that they told you. And it is going to take energy. So what I know from folks who have been looking at building, perhaps they're building within a community where there's a contractor on site that is already working with the developer, or they're working more specifically with the developer versus one-off projects and them hiring a contractor and doing all of that. It's just a lot easier for people. I know specifically at a project called Aruna here on Ambergris Key, people are able to pick out from a floor plan. And then Aruna is the one who has the contractor, has the team, the construction team who takes care of everything. So you don't need to go out and try to find those contractors. But if you are looking, again, like I said, for something really specific, it's probably going to be fairly difficult to find exactly that super right exact property for you. And so you may want to be considering a custom build. But like I mentioned, make sure that you're coming down and visiting, or you're here spending significant periods of time. Unfortunately, I've heard a lot of horror stories, and it does give Belize a bad name. However, there are many beautiful projects and many people who've gotten really beautiful work done. And so it really is just all about finding the right person, interviewing different contractors, getting different quotes, getting different bids. You don't have to go with the first person that you get a quote from. Do your homework, ask around. And don't be afraid to find properties that you like and ask who built that home or built that structure, because that'll be very important for you. But I know I'm going to give you an example from one of the developers I work with who was creating a subdivision up north. They weren't building anything necessarily, but they were just getting their property filled. So they're getting the property filled and they were getting invoices for all of these truckloads of fill that were coming to their property. And they said, when we were first quoted, they told us it was going to take this much fill. Now we're substantially past that. And we have this much fill that has been invoiced to us, something seems off. And so what they ended up doing is putting up a camera, didn't tell the worker that they were doing it, putting a camera, counting the number of trucks that went by so they could see how many truckloads of fill were coming to their property. And it does turn out that they were being lied to. They were not getting as many loads to their property as they were being billed for. So things like that, it's silly. However, it is common. I know that's not just common here in Belize. That happens all around the world in construction. And so you just need to make sure that you're working with somebody reputable, somebody that you trust, and then coming down for surprise visits. Don't tell a contractor when you're coming down. Come down and see the property, set up that secret camera if you can, but just make sure that you are on top of it, because you could very well get taken advantage of if you're just, loosely writing checks off and sending them to people. So I will also state to you that construction costs do continue to go up. Last year, obviously, we had a lot of inflation within, I'd say, around the world, really not just here within Belize, but around the world. So what we saw is that people were expecting to be able to build for a lot less than they are. And so typically, I'd say if you're looking for North American quality in construction, where it may be hurricane proof to a certain standard, you may have hot water, you'll have air conditioning units, all of that. If you're looking for that North American quality standard, you're probably looking at about $200 to $250 US a square foot. If you're looking in the luxury market, you're looking about $300 to $350 US a square foot. So those are just numbers to keep in the back of your mind. But I had a client reach out, and it may have actually been when Cameron and I were chatting, and he was saying, well, I'm looking at properties in this area. How come I'm getting quotes for new builds that are so much more than some of the properties that are being resold, right? For a very, very similar model. And, the answer is just simply because of inflation and price increases. So if somebody purchased that land 5 years ago, constructed their home 4 years ago, and now they're selling it 4 or 5 years later, they're going to be pricing it at a price that gives them profit to whatever they paid, not necessarily pricing it at the current market conditions. Then they probably would if they're working with a realtor to price at the current market conditions, but you will typically find that you're paying less for something already constructed versus rebuilding that exact model or a very similar model at today's price and costs. So just something to keep in the back of your mind as well. If you're new to real estate here in Belize, reach out to us for this complimentary e-copy of the lifestyle guide. This is geared towards anybody who is planning to spend time here, even if it's not necessarily moving or being here full time. This is great for anybody who's just considering life here in Belize, and even if that just means owning a piece of property here. My name is Rachel Jensen. We encourage you to reach out, info@lunarealtybelize.com, info@lunarealtybelize.com. I get all of those emails, so I'd love to see messages from you, and our team stands here and is willing to assist you as you are looking at real estate here in Belize. We are geared towards making sure you find that right property for you. All right, everybody, thank you and have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.